We begin with that breaking news in New Zealand. Now, this is still a developing story. Veronica de la Cruz joins us now with the very latest. Veronica?
Well, Liz, in the past hour, authorities are now describing significant casualties in Christchurch inside two mosques where gunmen opened fire on worshipers during prayers. Local media now reporting the death toll could be as high as 50. Witnesses say one of the suspects fired for more than 15 minutes. 4 people are now in custody, 3 men and 1 woman. We are hearing one of the suspects, like you just mentioned, live stream the shooting as they gunned down the victims. This all happened at the center of Christchurch, a city not used to seeing such deadly violence.
I could hear screaming and crying, and I saw some people were, drop dead.
I'm 66 and never thought in my life I'd love to see something like this, not in New Zealand.
Clearly what has happened here is an extraordinary and unprecedented act of violence.
Tonight, Facebook says New Zealand police alerted them to the live stream. They have removed the shooter account and the video. In a statement, they go on to say, quote, "We're also removing any praise or support for the crime and the shooter or shooters as soon as we are aware." The news has worshipers at one San Francisco mosque on edge tonight.
We feel scary now. If something happened like in the mosque, we feel so scary now.
Now, San Francisco police have stepped up patrols around those mosques and, of course, are asking the public, if you see something, say something. At the Live News Desk, I'm Veronica de la Cruz. Back to you.
Hello, everybody. My name is Shek Yang. I'm a journalist living in Paris, the capital city of France. I'm here today to give my opinion, to react to what has happened today in New Zealand this morning. We've seen a terrorist attack targeting a mosque or 2 mosques in a town called Christchurch. I first started this video saying sorry to all the Muslim community, all Muslim people around the world. I feel sorry for what has happened today to you and to your community. Because when I see these images on internet, I cannot be, I'm really confused and I'm really angry and I'm really worried about the future of this world. I mean, after seeing these images, I've come to the conclusion that we have a big problem because we don't know who the enemy is. Who is the enemy? That's my question today. Who is the enemy? I just remember that in 1950s, from 1950 until 1989, the enemy was communism. The enemy at that time was called communism. In the United States, something was called McCarthyism. Joseph McCarthy was a Republican guy who used to eliminate his political opponents by calling them communist. From 1950 to 1989, communism was the enemy. We know that the enemy was called communism. From 1990 to 2000, the communism was no longer the enemy. The enemy changed it and it became Islam. And Islam became the real threat to the Western society from 2001, after attacks on after the September 11th, okay, after the attack on the Twin Towers. From 2001 to 2019, Islam is considered the real threat to the Western society and to Western civilization. And a lot of terrorist attacks took place in this world, and at every time a terrorist attack takes place, the only enemy is Islam. Today things have changed, because in this terrorist attack in New Zealand, we have seen a guy armed shooting down people in a mosque, all right, killing them like animals. And from the information that I have, this guy is not a Muslim. This guy is not an Arab. This guy is probably a European white person, a Caucasian. And from the information that I have, he's an Australian guy. He's an extremist, a far right extremist, who does not want to see people of color in his country, in his continent, and who is a great fan of what we call here in France the grand remplacement theory, the theory of a great replacement, which is which consists in saying that in some years to come, Europe and Western society, the Western world, will definitely change. It means that in some years to come, black people, Arab people will invade our European countries, kill European people, white people, and implement their culture and their religion, which is Islam. So this is the profile of this guy. He's he's an extremist far-right guy who has a serious problem with multiculturalism, Arab people, black people, Islam in this country. So today we have come to the idea that the enemy is no longer Islam. The enemy is also extremist, far-right extremism. And this situation, I see that we are being prepared to a war, to a future war. Is that if we have two radical enemies on our soil in Europe, in Western countries today, the first enemy is Islam, and the second enemy is far-right extremism. And these two enemies cannot have a compromise. There is no compromise between radical Islam. There is no compromise between radical Islam and far-right extremism. No, because radical Islam is telling you, I am going to conquer this land which is called Europe and which is called the Western society. I'm going to conquer the Western civilization and I am going to bring it down. This is what radical Islam is telling you. And radical, far-right extremism is telling you, I am going to do everything that I can to define my race, to define my culture, to define my civilization. So between these two groups, there is no dialogue, there is no negotiation. Or you exist, or you die. Or you exist, or you die. You definitely disappear. And in this political context, which is absolutely sensitive today, I feel like we are going straight to war. The media is preparing us to a war, to a civil war in the Western countries by portraying Islam, radical Islam, as a danger, a threat to the Western civilization, and by portraying far-right extremism as a dangerous threat to Muslims. So in both sides you have white people saying we want to defend and we want to protect and we want to save our culture, we want to save our race from disappearing. And at the same time we have Muslims saying we don't represent a threat to Western countries. We are here to live here with our culture, with our civilization, with our religion. We are not intended to kill anybody, and we have no intention to replace anyone. So this is the problem that we are facing today. I mean, the radicalization of these two sides, Islam, radical Islam, and far-right extremism, is absolutely dangerous for the future of our world. It's dangerous for the future of our world. And today that's the problem we have. In the 1950s, the 1960s, 70s, until late 1980s, the enemy was communism. The enemy was communism. From 1990s until 2001, the enemy was Islam. From 2001 until 2010, the enemy kept on being Islam. And today, the enemy is no longer Islam, the enemy is Islam and far-right extremism. And in this political context, which is absolutely hated and sensitive, I feel like something bad is going to happen to the rest of mankind. We are going straight to a clash of civilization, to a war of civilization between an Islamic civilization which is trying to do everything to extend its presence in the Western world, in Europe, in the United States, in other parts of the world, raising questions about a future invasion of Islam in these areas. And on the other side, we have some white racist groups, white nationalists, who believe that if they don't act, if they don't do anything, they probably will disappear in some years to come. So in this situation, we, the moderate people, with the moderate Muslims, the moderate Christians, the moderate Jews, we the moderate people, we are going to be the losers. We will lose, absolutely, we'll lose, because these two extremist groups are so powerful in terms of propaganda, in terms of the lies they spread, in terms of the psychological warfare, in terms of the ideological warfare. And absolutely, they are absolutely efficient in the way they do in the way they scheme out their strategy. And I feel like we are going to lose. But all I can say is that the situation is very, very, very dangerous right now. Extremism is the only problem that we are facing today. And extremism in both sides, in Islam and in the white nationalist part, is what is going to kill the Western society probably, and what is going to drive us toward a war that we don't want to. But this is how we do. So I send a message to the Western world and to the Christians, the Jews, the Muslims all around the world, to say that we can make this world a better place. We can make this world a better place for us and for our future kids. We are not obliged to go to war. That's what the media wants, and that's what they're preparing us to. And we should be ready, because I personally believe that war is, we cannot stave off that civilizational war which is coming to us. There is no way to stave it off. There's no way to avoid it. We are going straight to a war between Islam and the Western world, and that will be absolutely disastrous to all of us. So I say sorry to all Muslims who have lost their neighbors or friends in these attacks. I say sorry to people in New Zealand. I say sorry to everybody. And I say, may God give us the strength and the willingness to live in a better world and to make it better, not only for us, but and also for the next generation. I think it's possible. I think it's possible. We're not obliged to love one another. We are different. Some people are black, other people are white, other people are yellow. Some are Christians, others are not. Some are Jews, others are not. Some are atheists, others are not. Some are Muslims, others are not. But we are. But I believe that the difference, our difference, should be a strength, should be an advantage, but should not be a disadvantage. But unfortunately today, some people are exploiting those differences to lead us to war, and that war is unavoidable. We cannot avoid that war anymore. Sorry to say that, guy, but that's my point of view. Sorry. Thanks so much, and see you next time. Goodbye.